Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. I've been making my own, well, not making my own. I've been putting cold brew concentrate and cold foam and making my own coffees that way. But mostly because today was really rainy. I was gonna walk to a local coffee shop that just opened, but it was super rainy today. So we're doing this. Today's video is going to be a continuation on my most anticipated releases of the year. I was trying to do these quarterly, but then also went through April for the first video, and yeah. What I'll do for this one is go through May's, June's, and July's. Even though May has already passed us, I know, but I was out of town, I didn't get it done, so we're gonna do it now. One of the anticipated releases I had for May is Shield of Sparrows by Davina Perry. This came out May 6th, and I talked about this in my June TBR video, but essentially, it's an enemies to lovers, slow burn, high stakes romantasy. Monsters stalk a cursed realm, and Forgotten Princess finds the strength to tear off her crown and become a warrior she was never meant to be. The gods sent monsters to the 5 kingdoms to remind mortals that they must kneel. I've spent my life kneeling to their will and to my father's. As a princess, my only duty is to wear the crown and obey the king. I was never meant to rule, never meant to fight, and I was never supposed to be the daughter who sealed an ancient treaty with her own blood. But that changed the fateful day I stepped into my father's throne room. The day a legendary monster hunter sailed to our shores. The day a prince ruined my life. Now I'm crossing treacherous lands beside a warrior who despises me as much as I despise him. Bound to a future I didn't choose and a husband I barely know, everyone wants me to be something I'm not. A queen, a spy, a sacrifice. But what if I refused the role chosen for me? What if I made my own rules? What if there's power in being underestimated? And what if for the first time I reached for it? Intrigue! I saw somebody do a reaction to a twist. There's like no spoilers, but they did a reaction to the twist and they were like, so I'm kind of curious. Another one of my anticipated releases was The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. This came out May 20th. This is book 1 in the Stonewater Kingdom trilogy, or duology, I believe, actually. And I have actually read this, which is going to be in my May reading wrap-up. So I don't want to give you too many spoilers, but it's a gothic mist-cloaked tale of a prophetess who is forced beyond the safety of her cloister on an impossible quest to defeat the gods with the one knight whose future is beyond her sight. Sybil has spent 9 years dreaming of having no dreams at all. Like the other foundling girls who traded a decade of service for a home in the great cathedral, Sybil is a diviner. In her dreams, she receives a vision from 6 unearthly figures known as omens. From them, she can predict terrible things before they occur, and lords and common folk alike travel across the kingdom of Trom's windswept moors to learn their futures by her dreams. Just as she and her sister diviners near the end of their service, a mysterious knight arrives at the cathedral. Rude, heretical, and devilishly handsome, the knight Roderick has no respect for Sybil's visions. But when Sybil's fellow diviners begin to vanish, one by one, she has no choice but to seek his help in finding them. For the world outside the cathedral's cloister is wrought with peril. Only the gods have the answer she is seeking. As much as she'd rather avoid Roderick's dark eyes and sharp tongue, only a heretic can defeat a god. I'm not going to get into it other than that because I don't want to give you spoilery thoughts of my readings, but I was anticipating that one. Another one I was really looking forward to was Behooved. Oh, I actually have this, which will be in a book haul, but I can grab it. Forgot that I had these. I pre-ordered them like for books that I really wanted to come in while I was gone. And that is Behooved by M. Stevenson. The fate of the kingdom is riding on them. I remember seeing this as like a romantasy kind of, but it was hilarious because he like turns into a horse, which reminded me of My Lady Jane, that like the Jane series books that I thought were really funny. The first one was really funny. It says a charming slow burn fantasy featuring a duty-bound noblewoman with a chronic illness, a prince who would rather be in the library than on a throne, and a magical ride through a world of cozy enchantment. Maybe she's the one that turns into a horse, actually. Don't remember. But it sounded really cute and funny. Bianca knows her duty comes before her heart, so when the threat of a war looms, she agrees to marry the neighboring kingdom's heir. But not all royal weddings are a fairy tale, and Prince Eric, Bianca's betrothed, is cold, aloof, and seems to hate her on sight. To make matters worse, on their wedding night, an assassination attempt goes awry, leaving Auric magically transformed into a horse. Yes. Bianca does what any bride in this situation would do. She mounts her new husband and rides away to safety. Sunset returns Auric to human form, but they soon discover that assassination attempt is part of a larger plot against the throne, and she's being framed for his murder. And now she's saddled with a husband who is a horse by day and frustratingly attractive man by night. As an unexpected romance begins galloping away with their hearts, Bianca and Arik must rely on each other to unravel the curse and save the throne. This sounds like a twist between Swan Princess kind of a thing and other hilariousness, so I am really looking forward to this. It sounds funny. And then I was also looking forward to Caitlin Rozakis' new book, which I also pre-ordered, which is the Grimoire Grammar School Parent-Teacher Association. This came out May 27th, so not that long ago, but cute edition, right? This one is like a parent of an adopted werewolf or something. Hold on, it's so funny. When Vivian's kindergartner, Aria, gets bitten by a werewolf, she is rapidly introduced into the hidden community of magical schools. Reeling from their sudden move, Vivian finds herself having to pick the right sacrificial dagger for Aria, keep stocked up on chew toys, and play PTA politics with siren, chthonic nymphs, and people who literally can set her hair on fire. And it goes into more of stuff like that, where there's more of a plot, but that in itself is just hilarious, and I loved Dreadful by this author, so I'm looking forward to reading more of her works. Another one that came out May 27th that I was looking forward to is A Fate Forged in Fire by Hazel McBride. I believe this is a Celtic fantasy. To become the first queen in centuries, a powerfully blessed blacksmith must use her wits and fire magic to overthrow the corrupt powers ruling her kingdom, while also fighting her growing desire for one of her dragon-riding adversaries. In the first book of a sizzling Celtic-inspired fantasy romance duology, once a territory built on matriarchal rules and values, Tyr has since grown frail from a long line of fruitless kings, the most recent of which have ruled under the influence of the True Religion, an oppressive group who have steadily poisoned the region with their anti-magic teachings. Born to rule and blessed by fire, Amara has begrudgingly lived in hiding rather than risk her life in court, waiting in anticipation for the current king's death so she can bond to his dragon, claim her throne, and protect her people. When the king dies and she is ready to take what is rightfully hers, her ambitious plan is foiled and she is thrust into a game of vicious politics and plots. Her biggest adversary is Prince Forian, a dragon rider and one of the most powerful fire wielders in the territory. Sounds so good! Cold, arrogant, and blindly supportive of his corrupt family, he is everything she despises. But as chaos engulfs the court, they find themselves reluctantly entwined, forced to forge an uneasy alliance, one that quickly ignites into something more dangerous than either of them expected. Behind enemy lines and slowly falling for her so-called adversary, she uncovers just how far the rot of corruption has spread and what she may have to sacrifice to claim her throne. Glad I read that synopsis again because it kind of fell off my radar even though I knew it was an anticipated release. So I'm glad I read that because that sounds really good. And then for June, I only have 2 on my anticipated releases. When I wrote this up, these were the 2, so I'm not sure if there was more or would be more for me if I was really looking into it. But Caught Up by Nevessa Allen is 1. This is book 2 in the Into the Darkness series. Book 1 is Lights Out, and I ended up reading this, I think because I was on the plane. I listened to it on audiobook, and it was so funny for the kind of book that it was. And it ended up really having a good time with it, even though towards the end or the middle it kind of fell off for me, but I did really like it. So I am looking forward to continuing and seeing what happens with Nico's story, and curious about how the plot develops there because it is kind of Mafia-esque. But that comes out June 10th, so next Tuesday at this point for me. And then another one I was really looking forward to that came out on June 3rd is Heir of Storms by Lauren Hamilton Murray. This has been compared to Red Queen meets Shadow and Bone, but the Shadow and Bone aspects are the parts that are really interesting to me. This is book 1 in the Stormweaver series. Got pretty good reviews so far, to be honest, but this is an explosive start to a YA romantasy trilogy about dangerous magic, forbidden love, and cutthroat competition for the throne in an empire where crowns are not inherited, they're won. The very day Blaze came into the world, she almost drowned it. A rain singer born into one of the most powerful fire-wielding families in the Empire, Blaze's birth summoned a devastating storm that left thousands dead. She's been hidden away ever since with a dark secret. The same torrential power that branded her an outcast disappeared that fateful day, and she's not sure she wants it back. When an unexpected invitation arrives for Blaze and her twin brother Flint, that's so cute, to compete as future rulers of the Empire, she's suddenly thrust into the limelight again, and into battle. Threats abound at the Golden Palace, where intrigue and romance await, with not 1 but 2 handsome suitors, the enchanting crown prince and a dangerously alluring newcomer at court. As Blaze explores her untapped power, she discovers the throne may be within her grasp. But in order to take it, she'll have to leave behind the stories that others have told about her and find the courage to write her own. It just sounds good. It just does. I don't know what else to say. But it's out now, so I can read it. I'm gonna try to read it in June. It's in my June TBR, actually, which you'll know because the video is going up. But then we get to July, which is a banger of a month, let me tell you. First off, we have one of the most anticipated books for me, which is kind of funny. These are both two very anticipated books for me, but I've technically already read them. A Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. If you know, you know. But if you don't know, this is a Dramini fanfiction that was picked up by a publisher and turned into an actual published work. So it's not Dramini anymore, it's not in the Harry Potter world, but it's like the same story revamped. And for those of us that love these types of books, we are pumped. This one is based off of The Auction, which was the Dramini fanfiction version, but this is book 1 in the Evermore trilogy, so it's going to be a trilogy, which is interesting. This comes out July 8th, which is the same day as another Dramini fanfiction being published, which we'll talk about in a minute. But this is your next romantasy obsession. The war is over, the dark forces have won, and the hero who was supposed to save them is dead. Captured as her castle is overrun by the enemy, Bryony Rosewood knows that the world as she knows it has changed forever. The dark forces of Bromard have won, and her people, the Eversons, face imminent servitude, imprisonment, or death. Her brother, fated to be heir twice over and unite the warring kingdoms, is dead. Stripped of her mind magic and her freedom, Bryony and the other survivors are quickly auctioned off to the highest bidders in an auction, and as the heir apparent's sister, she fetches the highest price. After a fierce bidding war, she's sold to none other than Tovin, a high-ranking Beaumard son, and her long-time and ill-fated infatuation. Scion of the family known for their cruel control of heart magic, the Hursts are ruthlessly ambitious, and Bryony knows they will use her however they can to further their own interests. Yet despite the horrors of the new world and the new role she must learn how to play within it, all is not lost. Help and hope may yet arise in the most unlikely of places. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. If you've read it, you understand. Oh, I'm pumped. The next one that also comes out on July 8th, like I mentioned, that is also a Dramini fanfiction turned traditionally published, is The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Bridget Knightley. This is book 1 in the Dearly Beloathed series, which is funny. Very excited for this. This one is based off of Draco Malfoy and the mortifying ordeal of falling in love. Loved it. The first in a slow burn enemies to lovers romantasy duology featuring a scholarly healer and a gentleman assassin. Set in an exquisite fantasy world perfect for fans of The Love Hypothesis and Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. Osric Mordaunt, member of the Firen Order of Assassins, is in dire need of healing. Naturally, such is the grim comedy of fate, the only healer who can help him is Arian Fairham, preeminent scientist, bastion of moral good, and member of an enemy order. Arian is desperate for funding to heal the sick. So desperate that when Osric bribes her to help him, she accepts, even if she detests him and everything he stands for. A forced collaboration ensues. The brilliant woman in STEM is coerced into working with the PhD in murders, much to Arian's disgust. As Osric and Orin work together to heal his illness and investigate the mysterious recurrence of a deadly pox, they find themselves ardently denying their attraction, which only fuels the heat between them. Romance tropes, enemies to lovers, high interaction, slow burn, hyper-competent idiots, heat falls first and harder, evisceration as a love language. I am pumped because when I read this one, I loved it. The original work, the fan fiction, so good. So I'm very much looking forward to that one. Pumped. Can't wait. Already pre-ordered it, of course. Next one I'm very much looking forward to that comes out July 17th is Medievally Blonde by Kate Jacobs. This is like a Legally Blonde kind of retelling, which is really funny to me, and it sounds really funny, fun, interesting. It says, the Dark Ages just got blonder. Our princess has been royally jilted by her betrothed, a totally dashing prince, because she's more interested in her looks and courtly gossip than being the queen his people need. Plus, rumor has it that he has an eye on another girl with a bit more of a dowry. As if. The princess decides she'll show him just how valuable she can be. She'll swap gowns for armor and enroll alongside him in the prestigious military academy, shaping the future rulers of the world. However, once there, the princess discovers a plot that will seriously impact both their kingdoms. Can she save her people from a disastrous fate? Win back the dreamiest prince and become the queen no one expects her to be? Tropes. Subverting gender norms. It sounds fantastic and funny. and I can't wait to read it. Can't wait. It sounds so good. And then I was really curious about this one. This one comes out July 15th, and it's A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangyu Mandana. And I never read A Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, but this one just sounded cute. It's a whimsical and heartwarming novel about a witch who has a second chance to get her magical powers and her life back on track. Sarah Swan used to be one of the most powerful witches in Britain. Then she resurrected her great aunt Jasmine from the very recently dead, lost most of her magic, befriended a semi-villainous talking fox, and was exiled from her guild. Now she, slightly reluctantly and just a bit grumpily, helps her aunt run an enchanted inn in Lancashire, where she deals with her quirky guest shenanigans, tries to keep said talking fox in check, and longs for the future that seems lost to her. But then she finds out about an old spell that could hold the key to restoring her power. Enter Luke Larson, handsome and icy magical historian who arrives on a dark winter evening and might just know how to unlock the spell's secrets. Luke has absolutely no interest in getting involved in the madcap goings-on of the inn, and is definitely not about to let a certain bewitching innkeeper past his walls. So no one is more surprised than he is when he agrees to help Sarah with her spell. Worse, he might actually be thawing. Running an inn, reclaiming lost magic, and staying one step ahead of the Witchful Guild is a lot for anyone. But Sarah Swan is about to discover that she doesn't have to do it alone, and that the weird, wonderful family she's made may be the best magic of all. Sounds cute. I don't know why that one's calling to me, unlike the others, but I'm interested. And then on July 15th as well, The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst comes out. And this is very exciting because while it's a new standalone novel, it's still set in the world of the spell shop. So I'm very curious because I liked the magical plants in the first one, in the spell shop. And it says, this is a new standalone novel nestled on a faraway island brimming with singing flowers, honey cakes, and honeyed love. Turlu broke the law because she was lonely. She cast a spell and created a magically sentient spider plant. As punishment, she was turned into a wooden statue and tucked away in an alcove in the north reading room of the Great Library of Elysium. This should have been the end of her story. Yet one day, Turlu wakes in the cold of winter on a nearly deserted island full of hundreds of magical greenhouses. She's starving and freezing, and the only other human on the island is a grumpy gardener. To her surprise, he offers Tulu a place to sleep, clean clothes, and freshly baked honey cakes, at least until she's ready to sail home. But Tulu can't return home and doesn't want to. The greenhouses are a dream come true, each more wondrous than the next. When she learns that the magic that sustains them is failing, causing the death of everything within them, Turlu knows she must help, even if that means breaking the law again. This time, though, she isn't alone. Assisted by the gardener and a sentient rose, Turlu must unravel the secrets of a long-dead sorcerer if she wants to save the island, and have a fresh chance at happiness and love. Funny, kind, and forgiving, The Enchanted Greenhouse is a story about giving second chances to others and to yourself. I'm very excited about this because, like I said, it's evolving around the sentient magical plants, which is what I loved in the first one. I liked other things about Spell Shop, but I love that this is way more centered on that. That's going to be so fun. So very excited to continue that series, standalone things. Another book that's coming out, I'm going to glaze over this. These are kind of this is an honorable mention, but I think The Theory of Dreaming is coming out, which is the second book in the Ava Reid series, A Study in Drowning, and I loved that first book, even though it took me by surprise. That one's coming out too, I think in July. But, last but not least, the one I would love to talk about is Sophie Irwin's new book. I learned that she was coming out with this book a couple months ago, and I freaked out because I've loved her books so far. And it's How to Lose a Lord in 10 Days, and this comes out July 17th. I still think about A Lady's Guide to Scandal. I loved that book, so I'm very excited to read her next work. Rich, handsome, entitled Lord Ashford has every lady in England longing for his hand in marriage. Everyone, that is, except Miss Lydia Hanworth, the only young woman Ashford wishes to marry. Pressured into accepting Ashford's proposal, Lydia has just 10 days to free herself from her obligations before the engagement is publicly announced. What can go wrong? I'm so excited this is coming out. I love Sophie Irwin so much. Can't wait. So the anticipated releases for this other quarter of the year. There's probably more, to be honest, but this is the list that I had curated before, and we'll probably add to it when we get more into the fall. But wanted to go over the next couple of months with you guys, even though May is already passed. Sorry about that. Looking forward to reading these, and hopefully you are too. Please leave me a comment down below if you have a anticipated release or a most anticipated release coming out in the next couple of months. I would love to know what yours are. But for now, that is it for today's video. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye.